everybody, welcome back to another Scratch tutorial. Today we're going to be taking a look at how, well, we're going to continue on from our Space Invader project, and I'm going to show you, hopefully, how to randomize the action and movements of the enemy, have the enemy attack you, and also include a scoreboard to tally up your score. And I guess we're going to have to include HP or hit points for our character. So let's get started. Now, the last time we started this game, we had the enemy move left and right. And you know what? For the most part, that's probably good enough. One thing we needed to do was to ensure on our Y-axis was to restrict the distance that I could go. So I'd probably restrict it up to -60 in the Y. So I'm going to change that value to -60. That will make sure that whenever it spawns, it never gets in front or it never touches the opponent, or us for that matter. Okay. So actually what's interesting is that by constantly clicking that, it's actually caused the program to make the enemy go left and right and bounce around. Now that might not work automatically with you, and so we're going to have to set a condition to cause it to glide around on the screen so that you can always do that. Now let's say, for example, we have our enemy and we're good with that. If we right click on our enemy and duplicate it, we can add, we already in this game have added multiple opponents in the actual game, and since the actions are random, they'll appear randomly. But the first thing we got to figure out is, well, the enemy has been destroyed. How do they come back to life, right? What steps do we have to do to ensure that our enemy comes back from wherever they've been? So I'm going to get rid of enemy 2. I'm just going to delete it. Go back to enemy 1. Now, when this particular block of code, and I'm going to move this here strategically, after it's gone through its sequence of costume changes, what I'd like it to do is broadcast the message, and I think we covered this in the card tutorial. This message is going to be our link to enable us to bring it back. So this message is, I'm going to change it to dead 1. Click OK. So when the monster has died, or has been destroyed, the enemy 1, it's going to broadcast the message. So when I receive this message, right, I want it to switch to costume, enemy 1, and I want it to go back to a random location. So I'm going to steal this line of code that I used and duplicate it and click down here. I'm going to set a control which says to wait for about a second. Well, 1 second is good for now. And I'm going to use the option called show because the enemy is still hiding. This hide command is actually still hiding, and I need to change the receive message to dead 1. Okay, so I'm going to press the green flag. Attack the enemy, it dies, and it respawns in about 1 second. Okay. Now if I included more opponents in the game, what I'd want to do is actually increase the wait time to 3 seconds, duplicate my enemies, press this flag button, and now but what you're noticing though is that this line of code does not work for this situation because the broadcasting message has to be unique to each individual character. So for example, I'm going to stop this script, I'm going to go to enemy 2, and I need to create a different broadcast message called dead 2. Okay. And I'm going to change the receive message to dead 2. Go to enemy 3, create a new message, call it dead 3, click OK. Dead 3. Go to enemy 4, new message, dead 4, receive dead 4. Okay, now it's all it won't cause the other ones to respawn. So they're all individually located. And there you go, the enemies keep respawning every single time. Okay, that's pretty fun. Alright, so I'm going to stop the code for now. Now you know how to cause a respawn of an enemy. The next thing we're going to take a look at is adding a scoreboard into the game. Now to add a scoreboard, we have to create a new variable under this option called data. Make a variable. We're going to call it score. And I'm just going to leave it as an option for all sprites. And what you'll notice right away is that the scoreboard appears here. And when you do that, you have a set of commands or lines of code that appear. So basically, I want to attach this code to each one of my enemies, basically stating that when the beam, this particular block of code, it hits one of the beams, I'm going to change the score by a value of 1, right? Now I can place this anywhere on the line, but I can place it right there at the very beginning. Go to enemy 2, change score by 1. Go to enemy 3, change score by 1. Go to enemy 4, change score by 1. Now, with addition to that, I want to make sure the score starts at 0 every time the game restarts. So I'm going to click on my rocket ship and make sure that when I click, that I set the score to 0. So anytime I restart the game, so there's my score, I got a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and if I stop the game and restart, my score goes back to 0. Okay, so that's how you set up a scoreboard. It's pretty simple. Alright, so the next thing is I need to add some hit points on my rocket ship. So I'm going to click on my rocket ship. I'm going to make a new variable. I'm going to call it HP. And I'm going to say only for this sprite only. So this HP only applies to my rocket ship. Click OK. This rocket ship, when I click, I'm going to, when the game barely starts, I need to tell it I'm going to set the HP to, let's say, a value of 25. And I just screwed up right now. Hold on. I think I need to make a change here. I'm going to delete this variable and start from the beginning. Okay, let me do that one more time. I'm going to make a variable. I'm going to call it HP. I think I have to have it for all the sprites for now, but we'll see. I'm just going to leave it for all sprites. Click OK. Set my HP again, which I was doing earlier, to 25. You can pick whatever value that you want. It's totally up to you. It's arbitrary. Then, once I've set the HP, I guess I can do all of this within the rocket ship. So we're going to do a little bit of an interesting code here. An event. When clicked, I'm going to create a forever loop. Now this loop is called a forever loop, but we'll get to that in just a second. I'm going to move it to the side. I'm going to do something called an if statement. Now if the rocket ship touches enemy 1, 2, 3, or 4, my HP will change by -1. It'll subtract by -1. So to do that, we need to put an OR operation here. OR operation. So we're going to use this one, and we're going to apply another one, and another one. I know it looks really confusing, but just follow me with me. Basically, I'm going to insert in here, if it's touching enemy 1, 2, 3, or 4, I'm going to change the data. I'm going to change the HP value by -1. That means I'm going to lose HP. So I'm going to go to sensing. Sensing deals with collision, you know, when it hits something, or any other component down here. If it touches enemy 1, okay, drag another one. If it touches enemy 2, touches enemy 3. Oh, hold on. I just lost the OR operator. Touches enemy 3, or if it touches enemy 4, the HP will change by -1. And we have to put a forever loop. Don't forget, the computer or the program has to be monitoring this throughout. It means that forever throughout the entire game as it's playing. If any of these conditions happen, the HP will change by -1. If you don't have the forever loop set, it will never do that. It will never work. It'll only work for a fraction of a second the moment you press this button here. But with that forever loop, it means it's constantly listening. So now let's restart the game. And as you can see, as I'm getting hit by the opponents, my HP has gone down. You can see it's already at -18, which is terrible. Okay, so that's how that happens. Now, how do I lose the game? What do I need to do conditionally? What conditions do I have to set to show that I've lost the game? Well, first off, I should have created an animation for my rocket ship. So let's do that right now. I'm going to go to my rocket ship, right click on it, I'm going to duplicate it. Cool. My rocket ship's been duplicated. I'm going to create 2 more animations for this. The first one's going to be one where part of my ship gets destroyed, right? I'm going to get the line tool similar to what we've been doing so far. Okay, nothing fancy or brand new. Okay, cool. Right click on it, duplicate it again. This time I'm going to erase the internals. It's like they explode into confetti. Add some more red lines. There you go. And we're good there. So at this stage of the game, I'm going to end the tutorial here. This tutorial showed us, hopefully, how to have our enemies interact with us to change, such that when we get attacked by an enemy, the enemy injures us and we lose HP. You now know how to play a scoreboard. You've looked at how to add more enemies. We've used the broadcasting option to respawn the enemy in a different location. So after this, we're going to take a look at a few more topics, but I'm going to end it here for this tutorial. And don't forget, make sure you go to File, Save Now, and save your work.